Hi, I'm Alex and this is Phil.
Hi.
From the Southern Ukulele Store, and we've been having a lot of fun the last couple of months filming comparison videos of ukuleles, and out of that has come a lot of questions, and we figured the best thing we could do to tackle that is a video on frequently asked questions. We could probably make this a series. We probably will do more than one video on this, so if your question isn't answered, please comment, let us know, because we had a list of 30 to narrow down today to about 8 or 9, and you shouldn't know this, but we've actually filmed half this video without turning the microphones on, so we're starting again from scratch. Anyway, here are the first list of frequently asked questions.
Okay, so for the second time today, Alex, what's the best size ukulele to get?
The best size ukulele to get, or as the question is normally framed, hi there, I'm looking at learning the ukulele. What's the best size? What size is best for me? What should I get? So what I answer to that is everybody's different. It's a bit of a cop-out, I know, but there are plenty of people out there that are 6'5" playing a soprano ukulele, and there are plenty of people out there that are 5'2" playing a baritone. The question is really, when you're starting out or coming to the ukulele for the first time, what size is going to help you progress the fastest, what's going to be the most comfortable? And 7 times out of 10, I would say that the answer is a concert ukulele, which is the size behind us. The soprano is too small for most adult beginners. They find they get cramp in their hands as they're learning. If you've got particularly big fingers, as a lot of adult males do, some women, but mainly adult males call up and say my hands are too big, you might also want to look at the tenor size. So yeah, the basic answer is you're probably going to end up with a concert or a tenor if you're starting out, and you can't really go wrong with either. I would maybe look at the size of your hands, whether you have instrument experience anywhere else. If you've played a mandolin, you might like a soprano. If you played a guitar, you might like a tenor. But let us know, or whoever you're speaking to, if you're dealing with another retailer. You know, start out from scratch, but be prepared to change your mind if you try a few, because plenty of people come in looking at a soprano, go away with a concert. Plenty of people come in looking at tenors, go away with a concert. So I think that's the safest option. Would you
Absolutely,
agree?
yeah.
Cool. Okay, so the second question of the day is, what's the best way to learn to play the ukulele? Now Phil here's a teacher, so I'll let you answer that.
So, of course I'm going to say, if you're in the area, come and have some lessons with me. But, you know, there's thousands of ways to learn, and the biggest one is practice. It's the biggest key to kind of development and learning. The way you can do that is, you know, utilising free resources out there, YouTube, the internet. There's so many different places where you can learn, and a lot of this information is accessible. I've said YouTube already, but it's great. You get like a video format where you can not only hear what someone else is playing, but see it as well. And the visual element's a great tool for learning. So, you know, those are all fantastic options, but find which kind of learning style suits you. Are you better off with a teacher in the room? Are you better off doing something on your own? And the other one is song-based learning as well. Try and learn things that are simple, easy, and something that you want to learn, because that's what's going to make you pick up the instrument and play it.
Set a goal, yeah. You're right about YouTube. I would say, like, all the kids that come in that are learning instruments at school, like, YouTube is just taken for granted now, but you know, it wasn't there 15 years ago. If that had been there when I was learning guitar or ukulele, I couldn't anticipate just how much further I would have come, rather than kind of seeking out individual songs. Definitely, I mean, I learn songs from YouTube now, and I find a good player and somebody who's good at explaining it, and that's the best part, I think, isn't it? It's just that if you don't like how someone explains it, all you got to do is just click search again. It's an amazing free resource. It's just having it on your phone as well, being able to practice anywhere. Well, fantastic. The only thing, as an aside, not to use your phone for is, don't use your phone as a ukulele tuner or a guitar tuner. It's good at everything, but get a clip-on tuner. It costs you £10 and you won't regret it. The phone tuners, you know, they have a habit of picking up things like your fridge louder than, you know, your ukulele's resonant note. So yeah, I just get a clip-on tuner, go on YouTube, get some lessons with Phil, and you can't go wrong.
So, another question that we're often asked is, why is this uke, or what makes this uke so expensive?
That's probably the most common question as well, I would say, on a day-to-day basis. You know, the phone calls, people coming in the shop, and the emails, like that's a common theme. There are lots of factors. It's hard to know where to begin. I would say where an instrument is made is a big factor. What it's made of. If it's a laminate or maybe a solid top or a solid wood, that's going to affect the price as well, more often than not. Component costs, small things you wouldn't think of, like the nut and the bridge saddle, can be made of materials that vary in cost by about 700%. It's crazy. We've got 3 examples for you, just to kind of give you a starting point. So a Kala KAC, probably one of the most, I'm pretty sure it is one of the best selling ukuleles in the world. So you can imagine in a month how many of these that they will just continually kind of, I want to say churn out, but I don't want to be rude, it's a great ukulele. This is laminate mahogany, and they might class it as laminate sapele nowadays because sapele is a cheaper laminate than genuine mahogany, with a walnut fingerboard and bridge. You might want to hold it up a bit, I don't know if we're in the camera shot or not. It's got kind of closed back die cast tuners. Now they are a relatively inexpensive tuner, they're good, but they're about £5 a set, so if you factor that into the price, it's another thing that can bring the price down. And I'm pretty sure Kala use new bone, or this is on the KAC, it looks like a plastic nut and saddle. I may be wrong, I'll make a little adjustment at the bottom here if I am wrong. But that kind of thing all factors in. Another thing you see on cheaper ukuleles is the binding. So the binding is used at this price point actually to bring the price down, because it's much easier and quicker to bind an instrument kind of with a set template so that you don't have to join the back and sides quite so perfectly. It's cosmetically it does improve the ukulele, but actually it's a time-saving measure as much as anything else. Yeah, other little things as well. You know, you might have a few different pieces of wood on the neck that won't necessarily be the case with something more expensive. So yeah, that's the KAC. The next ukulele is also a Chinese-made ukulele, but at the complete other end of the spectrum. So if the Kala KAC is under £100, the Eastman will come under the budget of under £500. This is about £450 in kind of 2018 in the UK. So this is made by a much smaller team in China. It's very easy to lump China as one massive factory, when actually, like anything else, you have different routes. So massive factories building things on a mass scale, and then Eastman, which is a team of, I believe, under 50 members of staff, building instruments an old-fashioned way. Where possible, they don't use any modern machinery as well. So this is a nitrocellulose finish with which cures the instrument, and it kind of helps the wood breathe. So you're getting a gloss finish, but you don't lose the characteristics or the tone of the wood like you might with some polyester finishes. This has a rosewood fingerboard and bridge, which compared to a lot of the cheaper ukuleles with a walnut fingerboard and bridge, this is a much more classic and with modern CITES rules. This isn't the cheap option. This is very much a ukulele that's built and then the price is set, rather than under £100 where an instrument will be built to a price. The tuners on this are Grovers, so you're looking at £20–25 a set for these. It's another component cost that improves the instrument. Yeah, I mean, all solid mahogany as well against a laminate. There's so many factors. So this might be 4 times the price of a Kala KAC, but it probably takes 10, maybe even 12 times longer to make. And the team that are making it will be earning a better wage because they'll be more experienced, and they'll have the aptitude and knowledge to build something the old-fashioned way, rather than on a massive assembly line. It's not a bad thing to have an assembly line built ukulele, but it does affect the price. So the final ukulele, I'm just going to hold this one, is the Takumi TT3M. So I've already made a video about this uke because I love it. Someone please buy it so I don't have to look at it anymore. This is Honduran mahogany. So Honduran mahogany, that means that Takumi have gone, mahogany is good, but we want a particular type of mahogany. So they've gone out and they found one that tonally matches what they're looking for, and that costs money, so that's probably added to the price as well. Be shocked if it hadn't. An ebony fingerboard and bridge, which is kind of considered an upgrade again. You know, ebony is what you would traditionally have on a deluxe instrument. This has Goto planetary tuners, which are about £70 a set. So, you know, they look like old-fashioned friction tuners, but they are very good geared tuners. And this is made in Japan. And the Japanese builders and Japanese teams have, since the 1960s, really established themselves as being among the elite of instrument manufacturers. You know, they don't really do solid wood, cheap Japanese instruments. The people that work there, they quite often have 30 years experience building them. And the Takumis, you know, I like to say, feel like that. The Eastmans are fantastic too. The Kala KAC is great for its price. But this instrument, once again, is this is about £1,400. So this is 3 times the price of the Eastman. But the components that are used in it hopefully justify that. Anyway, Phil's going to play them all, and hopefully you'll hear a difference. Clap. Okay, another very popular question is, do you guys set up instruments before you dispatch them? So Phil's pretty much in charge of our setups here at SUS. Do we set them up before we dispatch them?
Yes.
Yeah, let's elaborate on that a bit though.
So when you order a ukulele with us, you know, what we do is we come in the mornings and we pick the ukes for dispatch, and we'll go through all of them with a fine tooth comb. So, you know, we're putting them under some bright lights that we have over here, and we're inspecting them for any kind of cosmetic flaws they might have and things like that. Just kind of looking over the finish, and then we'll play them, make sure they play nicely, feel comfortable. We'll be keeping an eye out for anything like with sharp frets or anything that's having any kind of issue in terms of its playability.
So with playability, like comes the word action that everyone likes to talk about. So what's a good action?
So I mean, a good action is very personal. That's a personal preference. Typically you'll hear people come into the store and they'll talk about a low action, because low action is the most common action around and heard of. But I know players who like a high action, and I know players that prefer a lower action. Here at SUS, we set up our ukuleles with a 2.5 millimeter action, and that's from the 12th fret. Now when I say that, I mean that's from the top of the 12th fret to the string. So that's our kind of standard setups. Baritones might vary, we might bring those up a touch, and some customers do request that it's lower, so some ukes do kind of sit better with 2.25. But as I said, it's personal. The important thing to do would be to play your instrument. If you're an experienced player, you might know what kind of action you want. If not, play it and kind of develop a bit of a preference.
Another thing that factors in is when you talk about action, you're not necessarily just talking about the height of the bridge at the 12th fret. It's good that you mentioned the top of the 12th fret, because plenty of times people have contacted us saying we haven't set their ukulele up and they've been measuring from the bottom of the fret, which does make a dramatic difference. The nut is actually just as important, and it's probably something we do more work on than the bridge saddles. Because most ukes now seem to arrive, certainly from the Chinese factories, they're arriving with lower and lower actions because they're listening to the market. The nut quite often needs work, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the nut is crucial. So generally, when you're setting up an instrument, you'll look at it in a particular order. So we'll kind of start at the bridge, which is the there's a uke here, so I'll use that for demonstration. The bridge is here, and then we'll start to set up the fretboard, and then the nut is last. So we'll kind of work in that order.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll play the instrument. So we'll play each note on each string. So we'll play every fret individually, check the intonation, make sure that the intonation is as tuned as possible. So when I say like what intonation is when you play the open G and then you play the octave G on the 12th, and we're trying to make sure that that's as in tune as the open G. Now what you can do is you can set up the nut, and what that does is it allows for a better gradient for the action across the whole fretboard, and it makes it easier to play in the first position. So that B flat chord,
The dreaded B flat,
that everyone struggles with, that's easier to play, and it also helps to improve the intonation. And there's little tricks and tips that we use, but we use like little files just to kind of cut the nut slot a little bit deeper, and to just tailor that and get that as good as it can be before it comes to you.
Another a tip there, so if you've got a ukulele at home and you think, oh, this is really hard to play, and you find bar chords especially difficult, have a look at the nut. If the nut is cut very shallow, so that, for example, like this has got quite a deep nut, but if it feels like the ukulele is basically resting on the top of that, then it might benefit from another look at the setup, because lowering that action at the nut, certainly for me as a player, makes all the difference. Hopefully that helps.
Right, so as Alex is our, he's our gigging musician outside of the shop. He's the one that puts the most wear and tear into an instrument. We thought it'd be a great question for him to answer, which is, how do I maintain my ukulele?
I feel a bit of a hypocrite answering the question, because my instruments are generally pretty dirty. Like, if they've got a gloss finish, I wear them out and buff them up by playing them. So. I can certainly answer what we use here at the shop if we have a customer come in for an instrument restringing a setup, or whether we're sending something out second hand. We really like at the moment this product here. It's called Lizard Spit, and they do all sorts, but this is their guitar polish, and we've started buying these in big bottles for the workbench, because our boss here, Rob, would quite happily use a bottle a day if we let him. Fantastic spray, particularly good at getting grime out, and by grime I mean that kind of adolescent teenage boy, 14 to 21, like, how did your guitar get so dirty, how did your uke get so dirty kind of grime. Like, this is the one that does that job. It's our favourite, and I'm not promoting it, trying to sell loads to you, because it's not on our website. It's just, that is the thing that we are most excited about on the workbench at the moment. Equally, for the last couple of years, we've used lots of Music Nomad products. Now, that's a Music Nomad guitar wax. The Guitar One polish is the most popular. That's fantastic on gloss finishes, kind of all modern finishes. That will work very, very nicely. The way it comes out of the bottle as well, it's not sticky, but it's not too fluid. So when you rub it in, you feel like it's actually finding the parts of the instrument that need cleaning, and it's absorbing and kind of pulling them off the wood. I mean, really, really like the Music Nomad stuff. The Guitar Wax is great, the Guitar One's great. Their F1 oil, which is a lemon oil substitute, is also fantastic. Final cleaning product is lemon oil. So we like the D'Addario lemon oil because the bottle is the easiest to use, so that you don't use too much. Dunlop also do a spray lemon oil, which is just as good, but you do have to kind of clean the area around where you're spraying it. That's all we found. The D'Addario one, it's not expensive. I mean, this is £5 for a bottle, and we go through a bottle a month, I would say. Lemon oil is good for your fingerboard, so if you've got a rosewood, walnut, or an ebony fingerboard, lemon oil is fantastic. Doesn't really do anything on maple. Maple and lemon, they don't like each other. I don't know why. I wasn't there when they fell out, but that's I know, I'm so sad, aren't I? But like, lemon oil is good for your fingerboards. Guitar Wax or Music Nomad Guitar One, fantastic for gloss finishes, and the Lizard Spit also fantastic for most finishes. if you have a satin finish or an open pore natural finish, I recommend you buy a microfiber cloth or a napped cotton polishing cloth. Loads of music manufacturers like D'Addario will make these. I mean, probably everybody makes these with their own logo on. You don't have to get a music branded specific one. The one I've been using at home for the last 5 years I got from Wilkinson. So if you're not in the UK, it's just like a basic kind of a bit of everything shop. A good microfiber cloth. I bought it for my car. 5 years later, my car's still dirty. My ukuleles, every now and again, they get a good polish. So last a long time, don't cost a lot. It's worth spending out on this stuff, because if you're only cleaning 1 or 2 ukuleles, it'll last you years, and it doesn't tend to go out of date.
So the next question that we're often asked is, does a cutaway affect the sound of the ukulele?
There's no straight answer to this as well, because there are lots of different ukuleles out there that you could be choosing from, but I would say on the whole, no, I don't hear a difference. The science behind it, if you want to get technical, is that it should affect the sound, but those high frequencies on a ukulele are so prominent that you just don't notice it quite as much as a guitar. Some people and how they build, so if you get a manufacturer who builds their ukuleles with a very, very kind of specific style of cutaway, you might find it sounds slightly different, but there's no saying that could be down to the cutaway. That could be down to the particular instrument. So if you get lots of acacia instruments, they're all going to sound different. 2 Islander SA4Ts may sound very different, and 2 AT CUTs might sound very different. So if you take the same ukulele like this with a cutaway and without, how are you ever really going to know? I'm sorry, there's no straight answer. Phil's going to play one of these side by side, and a leading question that we also have is, if I have a pickup in my ukulele, will that affect the sound? So we have the same ukulele here, one with a pickup, one without. The best thing we could do is just put this to the test. There's never going to be a true black and white answer, but hopefully this will at least satisfy those out there that ask that question. Okay, so another question we get asked every day is this is a very good question, is what pickup is best? What are the options? So we do 2 specific options here at SUS, because we are happy that they are the best options for ukulele out in the market right now. I'll let you answer, Phil, because you're the one drilling into the ukes the most.
So I want to answer this question from kind of like 2 perspectives. So the first perspective will be, are you installing the pickup yourself at home? So if you're installing the pickup at home, the best pickup for you might not be, one or the other. So the Fishman, for example, this pickup here requires the standard drilling. So you drill into the bottom bout and into the kind of bridge cavity. But then you have to, you can see this on the camera, so I'll hold it closer. You have to solder the wires to the jack socket, and you might not have that availability at home.
It does come with a jack socket. I'll just get it out of the bag.
So if you're doing this at home by yourself, you might actually find that the MySci is the easier pickup to install, because it requires no soldering. It comes as one complete unit. The pickup strip and the socket are all attached together. So to kind of tell you some bits about the pickup and the kind of second perspective of us fitting the pickup, we have the soldering iron, we have all the tools, we can do that here if you want. Basically, the Fishman is more similar to like a passive pickup. So it's a great pickup, it's suitable for gigging, and it has a great response. It captures a full body sound of the uke. When I say body sound, I don't mean like a kind of tapping, like a
You mean
like
the
a
tone
microphonic, like a
yeah.
full tone of the uke. The MySide does the same thing. The difference with it is it has a kind of capacitor charger on it, as opposed to like a battery charger. It's like an active pickup. The signal on this is a little bit stronger, and it kind of just delivers like a more well-rounded, fuller kind of response out of the ukulele. The capacitor charger as well is really, really helpful. It just means that you're not changing batteries every 5 minutes. It just holds its charge a lot longer and distributes the power far better.
So to summarise, the Fishman is a passive pickup, and a passive pickup sounds best if you're plugging it into a mixing desk or an acoustic amplifier, something with an EQ stage and a power amp stage, so something that can give you a little bit of boost in volume. So passive pickup is inherently quieter than an active pickup like the MySci, but the Fishman pickup will have the tone of your ukulele in it. So if you're only occasionally plugging in, or you have an acoustic amp that you're plugging into, the Fishman's great. It's on a par with the MySci for the £50 difference in price. The active element of the MySci makes it a little bit more durable and a little bit more dynamic. So for example, if you're going to an open mic and you're not in control of your sound, the MySci has a little bit more boost in the volume and a kind of natural flat EQ that brings out the better elements of your ukulele. So if you're plugging it into a stranger's mixing desk and you're relying on them to control your sound, you're giving them the best possible head start. So if you're a professional musician, it's worth spending the extra £50 on a MySci. Our installation charges, just to give you an idea, if you bring your own instrument in, you're looking at about £40 to £50 depending on the situation. If you're buying an instrument and would like us to fit a pickup before we send it out to you, you're looking at an additional £20 to £25.
Cool. So our last question of the day is, what developments would you like to see on a ukulele in the future?
Cool. That's a good question. I think I personally would like to see more experiments done with bracing. Canalea they've always had very innovative ideas with bracing to reduce the weight on their ukes. They kind of Dremel holes out of the bracing all the way along, so although it's probably taking out less than a gram each time, across the whole ukulele it feels substantially lighter than it would otherwise. So Canalea, with their 2017 Platinum model, they did a kind of honeycomb bracing, so they did something completely different inside. It was on a torrefied spruce top, but it almost looked like mini scaffolding inside the ukulele. So it's that kind of like cross bracing, and it looked really intricate, but the ukulele sounded amazing. Like, it was a 10 out of 10 ukulele, and everyone I tried was a 10 out of 10. And that bracing was definitely responsible. I've not seen it on another uke since, but I think more of an emphasis on trying to move away from, like your Gibson Martin bracing that everyone's been doing for 100 years. Moving on to kind of more modern fiddly ideas. I think that's only going to improve instruments. What about you?
I mean, I completely agree with what you said. The bracing thing, that'd be amazing. I'd like to see something kind of bonkers and crazy. Maybe something like a true temperament fret ukulele. That'd be.
That's a horrible idea.
Yeah. I mean, it takes the intonation discrepancy thing to like an OCD level.
Explain what a temperament fret is.
Yeah,
I didn't know until you told me.
True temperament frets are individual frets per string, so everything's kind of finely tuned and finely done. You can Google it and see what they look like on guitars, but I just think it'd be a completely mad idea to put onto a ukulele. So if any luthiers are watching and fancy making something completely outrageous,
it's cruel, because whether you spend £80 on a soprano ukulele or 10 grand, the intonation is never perfect. So I can see the idea behind it, but I think it would just drive someone to madness trying to do that. Good idea. Bad idea, good idea, bad idea.
Don't go to madness.
Anyway, we've run out of time. We've had to open the shop. So that's enough for part one of our frequently asked questions. When we get an opportunity in the future, we'll carry on. If you have any questions, just get in touch. Comments, Facebook, Instagram. email us at shop@southernukulelestore.co.uk or give us a ring on 01202 430820. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Phil and I love talking and shooting the breeze, and hopefully we can do it again soon.